Hi, I'm Sproins. Welcome back to FTB Beyond. Last time we made not only a jetpack, but a automated resource miner. And since then, I've been somewhat busy. I've been crafting, and I crafted these solar panels. So, solar panels are from Solar Flux Reborn. You can see it generates 2048 RF per tick, and I have 2 of them. That's pretty good RF generation for where we're at right now. And these solar panels have always been kind of notorious for being kind of a crazy deep recipe, and overall it's not too bad. It just takes a ton of iron, and I'll show you why. It's kind of a rabbit hole. So you need the previous tier solar panels before you can craft this one. So for the tier 6 we need 4 tier 5s, for the tier 5 we need 4 tier 4s, 4 tier 3s, and so on. And what's really difficult about this recipe is these mirrors. You need these mirrors for the tier 1 solar panel, and the mirrors take iron ingot. So it also takes a lot of glass too. So I made this Manulan obsidian excavator. It has auto smelt on it, but yeah, the main thing is getting the iron. So I did a lot of mining for iron. And yeah, I will say that it's probably worth it because, again, that's quite a bit of RF for where we're at. So 4,000 here. And not only did I make 2, but I made 4. And let's take a quick look at where the other 4 are. Or the other 2. They are right over here. And they are now powering the resource miner. So I also made this. There's a resource miner and an ore miner. So we had the ore miner. I made the resource miner. It's pretty similar to the ore miner, just takes a few different blocks. For the endstone, I had to make a fluid transposer and a magma crucible with ender pearl and throw that into, or put that on sandstone, gives you endstone. Pretty simple stuff. But the reason why I made this is because I wanted to get mica or mica or whatever it's called. And once you get this block, you can make a speed modifier, and you can replace some of the blocks in the structure with speed modifiers, and at the cost of RF, it will go much faster. So yeah, you can see I got a bunch of stuff from where it had the resource miner. I've swapped it out since I don't need the resource miner anymore. I just need the ores. But yeah, this is going to start producing much faster now that it has the speed modifiers, and thankfully these 2 solar panels are more than enough to keep it going. They actually produce an excess of I think like 500-ish RF. I'm not 100% sure exactly, but yeah, so that is where they're going to stay. I also threw on the enhanced energy conduit that I had left over from the jetpack recipe. So yeah, this all worked out pretty nicely actually. And yeah, I don't really think there's anything else to talk about. That's pretty much all I've been doing since the last episode, is just mining for iron to craft these things. But we do have 2 more that we can play with. So 4,000 RF per tick that we can put to some use that hopefully we'll figure out what to do today. So this thing that I made at the end of the last episode, I said I was going to AFK here. The zombie spawner, by the way, in case you don't know. But I didn't. So maybe we can look at an automated way to spawn in mobs with RF, some kind of mob farm, at least to get us going here. But yeah, I'm going to take a look at what we have today and see what we can get into. So I will be right back. Alright, I've been playing around in a test world, and I believe I want to get into using the woot mod. So the woot mod will allow us to farm mobs without actually spawning them in. So in a sense, it's kind of like the void miner, but it's different. So I have a pretty good understanding of how this works. It's actually somewhat simple. It does require a bunch of these blocks. So the first thing we'll need is a mob factory layout, and that will require under iron plates. We'll also need a yaw hammer, which pretty simple. So the plate, and I believe we get the hammer back with these recipes. Hopefully it doesn't take durability when crafting. That would be unfortunate, but anyway, we'll need this under iron. So a little bit of a rabbit hole here, but overall not too bad. Nothing as crazy as the solar panels were. But yeah, pretty simple. So let me go ahead and craft up one of those. Alright, we got the mob factory layout. So where's a good place to put this? Oh, you do get your hammer back. You also get the dyes back that go into the recipe, and you also get back the obsidian. So that's pretty neat. That'll save on resources in the long run. Let's just put it, say, these things aren't growing anyway. Do I have like a dirt block or something? We'll just use nether brick. And we'll build it right, I guess right there. Actually, yeah, I guess right there is fine. And what we want to do is we want to crank this up so there's different level of tiers. And here's the tier 4, which requires a bunch of nether stars. We're definitely not ready for that. But I think we should be able to at least build a tier 3. So the tier 3 requires these blocks, which are a little bit difficult to come by, but really not too bad. Blaze powder with these factory casings. And then for these, we need ender pearls. And hopefully, if my math is correct, we should only need like 13 ender pearls. And that will make all of these green blocks that you see that we need here. We also need a few others. We need like the mob factory, spawner, grinder. So this is kind of like a controller, I guess. Ooh. Yeah, it's a little bit expensive, but more of those simple recipes that are just diamond. Alright, that's really not too bad, I guess. And then we'll also need a mob controller, which will require mob heads. And I think a few more of these, like we'll need the caps, the tier 3 caps, which also require mob heads. I might end up just making the tier 1 so we can grind up zombies. All we need is bones for the gray and the red. Bones and rotten flesh. And for the tier 1, you can see it's really simple. It's just like this. Then we'll also need this one. So a few mob heads. I don't know if I have enough mob heads to make it. I can definitely get them if I don't. But if we make the tier 2, you can see we get rid of the caps, expand everything, and then put the caps on the next outer layer. So yeah, I'm just going to get what I need here and see if I can at least get a tier 1 going. But the goal by the end of this episode is to have a tier 3, hopefully. Alright, we should have everything that we need here ready to go. All of these crafting recipes are actually pretty forgiving. You get most of, or well, at least half of your materials back. So anyway, I made these things. So let's go ahead and put them down here. You can either run, like to power this thing, you can either have like a power source to the side of it, and you can also put the output like in a chest or something directly in front of it, but I'm going to use these factory extenders into a proxy block. So we're just going to set it like so, and then we're going to set this like so. You can see it become big, and yeah, so everything's connected. We do need a chest, but we're going to worry about that later. So we want to run energy into this, and I made some more enhanced energy conduit. They should take care of everything that we need, and looks like we have a friend over here. Hello, friend. Come to watch your buddies get slaughtered. Anyway, let's have this going, I guess, back. We will have to expand this. This is just the tier 1, but just to get us going, we're going to start out like this. Does that not connect? That might not connect directly. I think we can use a capacitor bank. That's one of the reasons why I made that, just in case. But we can also right click on here and see what kind of power that we're putting in or taking out. And that was a misclick, so let's do that. Okay, and then just to start, put the solar panel right here. And it should be powered up, and this should be... Alright, we have to program the mob controller too. So to do that, this is pretty easy. We can use the mob prism. Here's the recipe for it. It just takes a bunch of dyes and the prison frame. So similar recipe to the other stuff that I was making. And to get the, I guess, mob essence or whatever you want to call it into this prism, we have to punch a mob with it. So thankfully I have this already set up here. So maybe we can just catch one of these guys before they die. Alright, punch that guy. Did I get it? Yeah, so that's going to turn into a mob prism with the zombie soul or whatever infused in it. You can convert this back into regular and reuse it just by putting it in a crafting grid, but yeah. So we have that. So I'll cover that back up. And then this should work as soon as we do this. Alright, so you can see now that it's programmed, this is getting power. And spawn one mob every 320 ticks. Cost 500 or 51,200 RF at 160 RF per tick. So overall not too bad. And you can see this filling up, which is always a good sign. So yeah, so now we need a, let's see. I think I have a diamond chest somewhere. Let me try to find it. Alright, so I've let the farm run for a little bit, and I've saved up some materials here, and there's one thing that I've been wanting to really craft, and that is this zombie charm. So you can see we need a zombie charm fragments, and zombie charm fragments we need a bunch of these zombie hearts, which are of course dropped only by zombies. So after letting the farm run for a little bit, I was able to collect enough. We need 6 of them, so here are the 6. And then to craft the charm, we'll just grab these, and you can see there's more than just zombies. There's skeleton, wither skeleton, creeper, which would be great. There's, I think, 12 or so, one for pretty much every vanilla mob. But there's also the charm belt, so I think we can equip this as a bauble. Or maybe not. Well, at the very least, as long as it's in our inventory, it should work at repelling zombies from us. However, if we have a charm belt, that will allow us to wear all of the charms that we craft, and it won't take up all of our inventory space. It'll only take up the charm belt space. I don't quite have enough fragments to craft that. It looks like you can use any fragments, and the zombie charm fragments are actually pretty easy to craft. Like Enderman require nebulous heart, which you have to kill Enderman for. We do get these from the farm, obviously, but yeah, they're a little bit more difficult. So we'll look into crafting that later, but let's go ahead and test out this zombie ring. I think what I want to do is we'll go ahead and just hop in the old school farm, and I'm going to tear this thing down anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Alright, so I let a few guys spawn in and bring some light in here so we can see them, and you can see they're completely ignoring me. Let's see what happens if I hit one of them. Still are ignoring me, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, this would be really cool to have an entire belt full. It looks like it takes durability damage. I'm not sure how that goes down. Maybe it goes down. Okay, yeah, maybe it only goes down when you attack zombies. Which makes sense. I guess that's a fair trade-off. But I guess as long as I don't attack them, then it won't lose durability. But either way, so that's pretty cool. Something that I've been wanting to check out, and definitely worth it. Alright, so for the time being, I replaced the zombie spawner with a blaze spawner. And that should be giving me some blaze rods. Alright, so I'm going to... I guess I have to AFK for a little bit to get these blaze rods, because I can't really think of any easier way to get the blaze rods that I need to start making the next tier of mob factory block. The cool thing is for tier 2 I can actually farm ghasts, so I could take a prism, and did I lose that prism? Might have to craft another one, but it's not really a difficult recipe, but I can take a prism, go and punch a ghast with it, and actually start farming ghast. The unfortunate thing about this is that it's only one mob at a time, and to get the tier 3, I'm not sure how I'm going to get the Enderman, because this definitely isn't going to work. So I might have to make another kind of mob farm with another mod first, and then after I get that down, use what I get from that farm to expand this one. But yeah, we will see how that goes. And a quick update here. So I already have the orange blocks. These are the tier 2 blocks. And again, the recipe is super forgiving. It only took 10 blaze powder, so 5 blaze rods to make all of these. And earlier, like I said, I think it's going to take like 13 ender pearls to craft the next tier. So I think I'm just going to skip crafting the tier 2 caps because we won't actually need them, and go ahead and try to see if I can get to the tier 3. So I might be fighting some endermen at nighttime. Looks like we'll need 4 more. Yeah, 4 more of the tier 3 or tier 2 blocks. And then let's see how many ender pearls are actually needed for the tier 3 cap. So it doesn't look like we need any ender pearls, just a bunch of heads. So I think I might turn this on and farm up a few more heads so I can make the tier 3 cap. But yeah, hopefully next time we come back, I will have this at least to a tier 3. All right, finally we are ready to put the finishing touches on this thing. So let's go ahead and take a look here. For some reason, it's losing power. I think it's because this is disconnected. So let's fix that real quick. Yeah, we'll just swap that out for the factory extender. And let's just take a look. This is 1 mob every 320 ticks, 51 at 160. So let's see if there's any reduction of that when we correctly place all of these blocks. So it'll still be just farming the level 1, even though this will be a level 4. So alright, so everything connected. And now let's see how this is doing. Ooh, it looks like it's consuming a lot more RF per tick. But it doesn't seem like there's any significant change. So that's unfortunate. Now there are like efficiency upgrades that we can add. But the upgrades are a little bit expensive. Like if we want more heads, we can get decapitate upgrade, but it also costs 80 more RF per tick and a few more ender pearls. Let me sleep real quick. So one cool thing about this factory is this mob controller here. We can either remove it and put it in any crafting grid and turn it back into a blank controller, and then we can put a new mob prism into the mob controller, or you can see it's still a zombie mob controller, so we can have multiple mob controllers. The only problem is these require heads. Other than the heads, the recipe isn't too bad, but crafting up this tier 3 factory took all of my heads, so we're going to either have to wait and see if this thing produces heads. I'm not sure if it produces mob heads unless you actually have the upgrade. The decapitate upgrade increases chance to decapitate to 20%. So maybe it does, just the chance is really low. Either way, I think I'm going to let this run just for a little bit, just with the zombie. And then I already collected gas, and I think I also want to get enderman. That's kind of the whole point of doing this, is to be able to get ender pearls. Speaking of which, there's one just hanging out over there. But yeah, so this is pretty much what I wanted to accomplish today, but there's still a few more things that we can test out with this. Alright, I have the upgrade here, so let's go ahead and grab it. To make this enchanted book, what I did was I made an enchanter, so dark steel, which is just coal dust and iron and obsidian, so pretty simple, and a little bit of nether quartz, a little bit of lapis, gave me sharpness 1 book, and yeah, so that's how I was able to get the book to craft this. So alright, so we have that now, and I should probably also mention a few other things that I did. For one, I made the charm belt, and you actually can use this as a bauble, so it will take up less inventory space. You just right click it, and you can see I have my zombie charm in there, and again, it holds several different charms, all of them actually you can put in there, and it only takes up the one slot, so that's pretty cool. The other thing is this Emeratic Crystal Sword. You can see it does 9.5 attack damage, just looked pretty strong. I made this for when I was farming Enderman, and Emeratic Crystal is just throw a emerald in the Atomic Reconstructor, only cost 100 RF, so yeah, pretty simple. But anyway, let us throw down this Decapitate upgrade. And it's kind of interesting how upgrades work. You have to put them like on a plane like this. I think the tier 3 can have up to 3. So let's just use sand for an example. So like this is tier 1. I have to put the tier 1 at the bottom. If I crafted a tier 2 Decapitate, I would put it on top like that. And then if I had like another upgrade, I could put it here. And then the one on top has to be the tier 2 of the next level. And I think with the tier 3 factory, we can go up to 3. So 1, 2, 3, that would be fully, well, I don't think it's fully, but maybe it is fully. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I guess it would be fully upgraded. And then I think we can do one more like this. And I think we can also put them on this side too. So yeah, that's a total of 6 upgrades. Of course, that costs a lot of RF. But yeah, anyway, so this should be using, yeah, it says mob beheading 1 right there. So it should be using a little bit more RF, but it's, you can see that RF is filling up. So that means that we still have a surplus, which is great. And this shouldn't be losing anything. And if we can see this, it should also not be losing anything. So we're good. And I only really need the tier 1. So the whole time that I was gathering the materials to craft that upgrade, this only gave us like, I guess 5 or 6. But yeah, so we're already starting to get heads a little bit more quickly. So yeah, I don't need an insane amount of mob heads. Hopefully this one upgrade should be fine. So I'll let this run for a little while. Alright, so to kind of get things moving along here, I already added the mob controller with the Enderman, and I crafted a bunch of these upgrades. So as you can see here, spawns 4 mobs every 160 ticks. So where is it? Here's the efficiency. This is the mass. That means we're spawning in 4 Endermen instead of just 1. And efficiency reduces, obviously, the cost. Beheading, we actually don't need this. What would happen if we took this out? 1,222 RF per tick. And it's probably not filling up because the sunlight is going away. But yeah, we already got a bunch of Ender Pearls. We got a bunch of Enderman Head because this was still on while I was crafting up all of those other upgrades. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for this episode. We spent a lot of time messing around with this mob factory from Woot, and yeah, I'm pretty pleased with where it is. It seems like it's working just fine. I think I probably will craft the next efficiency upgrade and maybe a couple more. Maybe I'll also play around with putting other mob controllers in. Like I said, I have the ghast controller as well, and I might try to see if I can find a few more mobs. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.